was a very busy month, so I'm here to talk to you about him. Hey, hi, hello, welcome. Oh my goodness, my glasses are so dirty. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, if you're new here, hi, I'm Nikki. We're a little bit weird around here, but you know what, that's totally okay. January, I didn't expect to be such a book-heavy month. During the month of January, I've actually got a library card and I introduced myself to Libby, and I am now have been able to listen to audiobooks at work. So this is probably where this is going. In total, I read 5 books and 6 are pending. Pending because I'm still technically reading it. So I guess people say I read 5 books this past month, and I'm very, very proud of myself. If you guys didn't see my last reading vlog, go ahead and go check that out because that has a little bit more of how I felt about some of these books and my ratings and everything is there. So this will be kind of like a little bit of more of a recap, but I still think you guys are due to know how I felt about these books. As I said before, January was a very busy month. In total, I read 3 romances, a kind of a dark academia fantasy novel, and a thriller. The first book I read for this month was Heartless by Elsie Silver. This was honestly a joy to read, and I would definitely recommend any sort of Elsie Silver book at this point. This is the second book to the Chestnut Springs series where we're following Cade Eaton, the oldest brother out of all the Eatons, and he has taken over his father's ranch. He's an only father, and the farm is in need of more help. So Cade is actually out there looking for someone to be a nanny for his son. Summer has decided to have her best friend Willa come to Chestnut Springs and take over that nannying position to help out Cade. Little does Cade know Willa will become this whirlwind for both him and his son, which in the most beautiful way possible. This was a fantastic book. This is a Grumpy Meets Sunshine. This is an age gap. There is children, so if you're not really a big fan of, children in books, Luke is actually very mild and he's quite cute and he's really not at all that obnoxious. This is a cute book. I gave this a 4 stars and I have not yet been let down by an Elsie Silver book. So I'm very, very pleased with everything and I'm very much looking forward to finishing the rest of the series this year. That is definitely a goal for me and I highly recommend that you guys go check this out. I don't want to talk too much about this next book because I griped a ton about it in my last reading vlog. Once again, go check that out if you want to see how I truly felt about this book. It would be Bright Young Women. This is supposed to be a survivor's tale of a girl named Pamela who is the head of her sorority at Florida State. 2 of the girls in her sorority house dies mysteriously by some man breaking in. Throughout the entire story, we follow Pamela as she's trying to get the sorority house back in normal function as these deaths have not only gripped them but also the community and herself as she tries to go through the motions of losing her best friend to this killer. Whereas we split that time period off and we go toward another girl named Ruth who is in Issaquah, Washington. She's having a really hard time with her family. She has just lost her father, her mother is very controlling, and she decides to join a women's only grief group to get over her father's passing and to connect with other women because she feels honestly alone. This is supposed to be a survivor's tale of what happens with these killings, and the main perpetrator, they call him the defendant. The way that this story is told kind of feels like an autobiography in a way, even though this is a work of fiction. Well, how I feel about this book is really kind of disgusting and I hate it. Like, this is a nasty, gross fan fiction of an actual serial killer that did go into a sorority house and kill 2 women. He did kill a girl in Issaquah at Lake Sammamish, actually 2 of them in fact, and he did go on a rampage and he did get captured before and he did break out, and it's just, if you know what serial killer I'm actually talking about in real life, that is exactly who this is. His personality, the way he talks to people, the way he talks to women, everything is cut and paste. This is basically a rendition of some actual women in this book. There are actual women who have died by the defendant, in this in real life. It's just that their dates and where they have died and who they kind of are a little bit changed around to fit the narrative of this book. That being the case, I think that's really kind of gross, and the author shouldn't be capitalizing on true actions of survivors. If we're just going to talk about the book itself, this is targeted to be a thriller. This is not really a thriller. The only thing that was actually thrilling about this book started and ended at chapter 2. If you're gonna say this is a thriller, please make it a thriller. I don't know how this book ended up becoming a hit, because this was supposed to be a Goodreads Choice Award book pick on my TBR. I don't understand how this book got that sort of award when it's just not great. I don't really want to gripe about this book because it just makes me really unhappy, and these families really should just be respected, and it's clear that this author did not respect these families. The next book I read this month was Addicted to You. This is the beginning of the entire Addicted Calloway Sisters series saga. This first book follows Lily Calloway and Lauren Hale, but it's all through Lily's point of view. Lily Calloway is addicted to sex, and Lauren Hale is addicted to alcohol, and the pair of them have been best friends since childhood. Lily is basically an heiress of, let's just say, Pepsi or Coca-Cola. Like, she's a huge brand for soda pop. And then there's Lauren Hale. He is the heir to basically Johnson & Johnson, the baby company. Okay, so let's just take Soda Pop, High Soda Pop Company, and Johnson & Johnson, big baby company. These two are basically a match made in heaven. Everyone is excited about this. That means there's a unity. But as they were growing up, Lauren finds himself very, very into alcohol. Whereas Lily, so addicted to sex, it takes over everything for her. So they have this new idea, this pact, if you will. Well, let's fake date, but then when we're at family functions, we're perfectly happy and there's not a problem. Obviously, that's gonna spiral and have a huge explosion of problems because they're both feeding into each other's addictions and not helping solve or have some sort of treatment to help fix their trauma. I think I gave this about a 3 stars. It was enjoyable for what it is. It's a nice start to the series. I hear it only gets better. There are quite some twists and turns in this book, and the ending did leave me slightly flabbergasted, but I still knew that this was gonna happen. Like, it just leads up to that way. I think this was a nice book. I did get a little bit annoyed with Lily, quite a bit. It's just, I wished for her to find the mental capacity to break through her addiction issues and help Lauren, when clearly he's trying to go through his and be there for her. If you have some sort of like trigger as far as like sex or drug abuse and this might be a little bit too much for you, then I would probably recommend it. But I also want to mention, as much as Lily is addicted to sex, this book isn't very spicy. I kind of applaud that because this could be so much more if it was, and I think I probably would have been more repulsed by the book, when in reality this is more like bringing awareness of how someone goes through an addiction and seeing someone go through one through their own eyes. So because of that, there's some really good themes in this book. I think these are really good so far, and I am definitely excited to continue the series. The next book that I read / listened to was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. It was not a 30-week wait on Libby. There's so many books I want to read at my library right now, but I have to wait so long because everyone else is reading them. And when I saw that Book Lovers was easily accessible for me to check out and borrow for ebook, I quickly snagged it because I've been wanting to read this, and for how I feel about Happy Place, I was very, very excited to get into Book Lovers. If you don't know what this book is about, this is following Nora. She is a publishing agent. She basically goes around to all the authors who are in her company, and she helps them prep and get them ready for publishing. She helps contact editors and get them all squared away. Then this right here is Charlie. Charlie is an editor for another company. The two of them meet at the first time at lunch, and they have to get together because they're supposed to work on a book. And at the time, this book, Nora thinks this could be absolutely huge, and he was chosen to be the editor. But he ends up hating the book. Months later, the book becomes a massive hit, and her sister Libby, who's absolutely infatuated with this book, wants to go to the town, that small town that book is based off of. Well, they decide to take a 1-month vacation, and boom, Charlie is there. So this is a story of Nora and Charlie. And the entire time it's a growth of not only Nora, who has a huge heart, wants to do everything right for her sister. That's all they got. They are the only family they have. And Libby notices how her sister can never seem to hold down somebody who wants to be with her. So they make this checklist of basically Nora falling in love with someone at this new place. So it is a very, very cute, classic rom-com, Hallmark book, movie, feels book. And I thought it was super cute. And I thought, you know, the characters together had a great dynamic. I thought that the world was really great. Honestly, I really liked Libby, and I hated Libby all at once. I was really, really hoping for Nora. I wanted her to really kind of overcome her problems and really find someone who finds her as her. I was really hoping for Charlie. Everything in this book is an Emily Henry book. Is this as good as Happy Place? No, but I did very much enjoy it, and I think if you like rom-coms and you like small town tropes and you like kind of a Grumpy Meets Sunshine, but more like not, you know, it's really hard to explain their back and forth because she's not really sunshine either. It's like Grumpy meets Grumpy, but one's more grumpy than the other grumpy. It's great, and I really thought it was a good book, and I had a really good time reading it, and I think a lot of other people would too. I gave this a 4 stars, and I wouldn't change that rating for the world. Okay, so I attempted to read A Discovery of Witches. I know this is a TV show, okay? My best friend was very excited for me to read this book because she's watched the TV show, and she goes, well, okay, well, I want to know what you thought about the book. This book, I don't know how, has a good rating because it's so disorganized. It is pure info dump. Chapter 1. Right in. This is supposed to be a book this is not like other paranormal books. Mine's different, and here's why. We start off meeting our main character, Diana, who actually is this very, very strong witch. And she has decided to throw away her magic. She doesn't want to use it. Even though she can still technically use it, she's by far one of the strongest witches that there is. And she's just like, I think magic is stupid, and I don't want to use it. And all of her family is like, you should probably hone that. She has decided to become a historian / scientist and has gotten her own spot at Oxford University. So she goes in there and does her studying. She finds this book called The Manuscript, which inside of this book, it had a spell on it, which was protecting it so other paranormal creatures couldn't find it, because all the other paranormal creatures want this book, and we really don't know why until you get way further on. So I'm told, because I didn't get that far. I DNF'd this after 100 pages. So she finds this Ashmole 782, sends it right back up, and is like, okay, I'm done reading it for the day, and then goes home. And as she goes home, she talks to some family members. She runs into a vampire, and she drinks some tea, and then we repeat itself. That's it. There is no discernible plot. The only thing that I know that I can get my head wrapped around is that this is Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire vibes, like that dark academia, dark gothic vibe, mixed with Twilight. Whereas you have this vampire who has decided to take a liking to Diana. I think his name is Matthew. And he really does give me that equivalent of Edward Cullen and Interview the Vampire guy vibes. Like, kind of smushed. He's very old English, but like, I watch you while you sleep. Now Diana, on the other hand, has a little bit more brain cells than Kristen Stewart, but I think she's basically Kristen Stewart on paper. We follow Diana waking up, going on a run, drinking tea, going to the library, and repeat. That's it. That's all we know. I get pages upon pages basically of how she drinks her tea. I watch her go to yoga, and her basically starting to grow this infatuation, if you will, with Matthew. Now Matthew is only there to protect her because he wants the manuscript, Ashmole 782. Now why do I keep saying that? That book, that name is used like maybe every other page. It's such a Carrie thing. It's like the author has to throw Ashmole 782 or manuscript into the plot to remind you this is what the book is about. Even though we're following her on runs and drinking tea and wizards are coming after her in the library and you just have your stalking I watch you sleep vampire in the corner protecting her to keep them away from her, when in reality he's just waiting for her to pull it back down and he can snag it. This book, or manuscript, is everything that these supernatural beings, what they want, and she just sees them around her like, well, this is weird. Okay, I'm just gonna keep living a normal life and that's it. There's no discernible plot in this. So I asked my best friend, and she had told me basically the same thing. And I will read you verbatim. I remember of the show, they spend a good deal of time setting up her status quo and his brooding over her. That's Matthew. Matthew brooding over her. She awakens the book, then she spends some time ignoring what has happened, and then a bunch of shit happens, and she has to go find the book again. It very much begins as a Twilight fanfiction and then takes a large left turn into God only knows what. The show was then trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on, so I'm not really surprised you feel this way. Me, the reader, reading the original piece of paper, cannot tell you what the plot of this book is. The main characters have the same personality as a roll of toilet paper. There is no personality to any of these characters. Like, I was actually quite excited to read this. And then of course I find it at my library. I'm like, oh cool, I didn't get to finish reading it for my video. I'll listen to it at work. There is a whole lot of nothing going on, but I bet if you had a drinking game about this book, every time Ashmole 782 or manuscript is mentioned, take a shot. You'd be drunk. You'd be dead. I promise. Someone on an ebook and has this book, tell me how many times manuscript in Ashmole 7082 is mentioned, because I would actually like to know. But I won't get this for my Kindle because I refuse to own this in another copy. I feel kind of a lot better getting that out of my system. On a happier note, I really did enjoy the books that I read. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, follow, and subscribe. And please give me a, I don't know, what kind of emoji? You know what, I'll let you pick. Just give me an emoji at the end of this, knowing that you guys made it to the end of this video. It helps me out because then the algorithm can kind of put me out there. I hope to see every single one of you guys later, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah! Happy reading! Bye!